Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Keep the faith.
This is going to be a disaster.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is and what is taking place. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's not called the Gulf of Mexico any longer. I have the right to do it, just like we have the right to do Mount McKinley, and nobody's even challenging that. But only the essentially, it's primarily the Associated Press, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America. Now, the Associated Press, as you know, has been very, very wrong on the election, on Trump and the treatment of Trump and other things having to do with Trump and Republicans and conservatives. And they're doing us no favors, and I guess I'm not doing them any favors. That's the way life works.
I'm embarrassed by him. I mean, there's a whole host of emotions, but the first thing, every time he opens his mouth, every time he says something stupid like that, I'm embarrassed. And then it downshifts into rage, because what he's saying is the Associated Press isn't allowed to come to his press conferences, which he gives more regularly than, I'm familiar with. Do you know what I mean? Not anymore. No, sorry. Oversharing? Okay, good. TMI? Good. Okay, now you know. But he's literally saying that the Associated Press can't come in to cover his press conferences until they go full Winston in Orwell. The end of 1984 is this guy Winston. His job, by the way, Winston's job was he worked in a news organization in Orwell's, 1984. And his job was to cut the news, literally snip it with a scissor and put it down the memory hole. Yep. And then everybody would, be told a thing, and then whether the thing was true or the thing was demonstrably false, people would have to repeat the thing that the authority, wanted repeated. And so in the end, Winston is tortured because he won't say that 2 + 2 = 5. He won't do it. He keeps saying 2 + 2 is 4. But they torture him so badly that in the end, he finally says 2 + 2 is 5. And that's what Donald Trump is doing with this Gulf of America thing, saying to the Associated Press, a global news agency, that they can't cover the president of the, I'll just say free world. Not really. But the president of the free world, they're not welcome until they repeat the lie. The lie that the Gulf of Mexico is now called, because he decreed it so, the Gulf of America. And all of these tech bros who want something from him, they changed Google Maps. They changed, it's so funny. There's a comedy show on CNN. I don't particularly care for, but it's there. And the host of it said, what did he say? Oh, that the only tech company, which is hysterical, that didn't replace Gulf of Mexico with Gulf of America because Donald Trump said so, was MapQuest. And he was laughing at MapQuest because, MapQuest used to be, when you didn't know where you were going. This is before we all had GPS in our cars. And, people like me can't find our way, out of a paper bag without GPS. I can't even think of a place except for my grocery store and the hair salon when, I basically live part-time. I can't go anywhere without my GPS, not even to Karen and Steve's house, okay? I have to have the GPS on, even though it's a straight ride from my house to Karen and Steve's house, okay? It's literally one turn off a main road, but then their neighborhood. I don't know, so I have to have it on. Okay, so before that, we had MapQuest, and all MapQuest would do would print out. Yes, print. You needed a printer. directions. And MapQuest is the only company that refuses to call it the Gulf of America. So I'm going to use it again. But honestly, I can't believe that this is the test, and this is what it is. This is really the test to see if you are insane enough to call a body of water that is not named by America, and it's not named by Mexico. It's named by, people who survey the globe and name the oceans, name the seas, name everything. Okay, and if Trump says, listen, people in Alaska, they're not calling it Mount McKinley. It's still Denali. Okay, that's what it is. That's where it is. That's what he. But it's 2 + 2 = 5. That's all it is, and it's ridiculous. And I'm not going to do it. And you shouldn't do it either, because it's ridiculous, and you sound ridiculous. He wants you to sound ridiculous. A man in his position can't afford to be made to look ridiculous. So don't say it, because you'll make him look ridiculous. If you don't say Gulf of America because he says it is. This is bizarro world. And then, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Stephen Miller, when we were on, Stephen Miller was on CNN yesterday, screaming at Breonna Keeler, just screaming at her. Why aren't you happy about these cuts? Because the new talking point about Doge, by the way, Judge Chutkan, who was the judge assigned to the January 6 cases in D.C., which obviously are never going to happen now. But she was given an emergency case about whether or not to stop Elon Musk and Doge from rampaging through 7 agencies, 7 independent agencies in the United States of America. And they tried to say what at least I got the argument right. Sometimes I just want to pat myself on the back. But I knew the argument would be irreparable harm was occurring, and that you had to, give a temporary restraining order while the fuller case was going to be decided. And they did. The Department of Justice argued, that the 14 Democratic U.S. attorneys from Democratic states, spearheaded by New Mexico, led by New Mexico, went in and argued that irreparable harm was going to occur. She couldn't do a temporary restraining order and get them the hell out of these agencies. And she said that they did not present enough evidence for her to agree that irreparable harm was either happening or imminent. And so she couldn't give what she called a prophylactic temporary restraining order. She said it doesn't work that way, and she couldn't do it. And she told them, come back, basically. This is the interim of the case, okay? And, of course, they're in there slashing and burning and grabbing and stealing. And most of it is, information that these tech bros want about the digital life of American agencies. How do these checks go out every single month to millions and millions of people in this country and never fail to get to people's bank accounts, haven't failed to get to people's bank accounts? Always the right amount. I mean, there's a small amount of overpayments that actually occur. How does that happen? Because their AI is junk. It's garbage. But not only do they want that, they want into the Department of Defense, and they want into this one part of the Defense Department that does technology for export. Sort of, our weapons being sold around the world. That particular database not only has date of delivery, cost of the contract flow, but it also has tech specs, which I mentioned briefly before. Elon wants that more than you could possibly know. And so she couldn't do it. She said she couldn't do it. She told them to, rethink their argument, come back. And so apparently for doctors, it's first do no harm. And for judges, it's show me irreparable harm. Right? Like I can't do anything until it's irreparable harm, until it's done. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to RandiRhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.